We go down to Andrea Pachani-Barrett, legal analyst for EWTN News. Andrea, always so great to see you.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Tracy.
We have so much to unpack today, but first I want to get to the Supreme Court and the case that they are taking up today with the abortion drug mifepristone. How significant is this?
You know, Tracy, I think it's hugely significant, especially given the number and the percentages of abortions in America today that are chemical abortions. I'm really pleased with what the lower judges, what the trial judge in Texas and the Fifth Circuit has done in saying, pausing and looking very carefully, even under a tight calendar schedule, at what the FDA did in approving these drugs and lifting reasonable restrictions for their use. And it seems like the Supreme Court is taking that same serious look at what this agency has done. So I really am hopeful for a great outcome in the end.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many concerns with this drug. How do you think the Supreme Court, how do you think they may rule?
You know, it's very interesting, given the procedural posture of this case, given that it's being reviewed in an emergency basis. I do think that right now we're looking at whether or not the drug will be stayed in its kind of expansive distribution under the current FDA guidelines. That's probably most likely going to be decided in the next few days. And then we'll look at the review process in general and whether the agency's evaluation of the safety of the drug is one that's worth questioning. But I think it really does bring us back to this core issue that was given to the states, that this is something that all Americans should be paying more attention to and really opening up an important conversation, again, about the importance and the sanctity of life and the accompaniment that young women need. This is not something that we should be sending young women off alone into their houses, into their bathrooms. Unprotected and vulnerable, and instead we really need to be focusing on wrapping our arms around women that are facing unexpected pregnancies or pregnancies with difficulties.
Absolutely. Yesterday at the Supreme Court, on a different note, the justices heard arguments of a case involving a postal worker from Pennsylvania, and talk to us about that case. And where do you think things are swaying on this one?
You know, Tracy, it was an exciting oral argument. It was 2 hours long, and many Americans can continue to listen to the Supreme Court oral arguments on an audio feed, even if you're not able to be in the court in person. And like you mentioned before, this is a mailman who is a Sabbatarian Christian, is unable to work on Sundays, and made that clear to his postmaster. They were able to make some scheduling changes, but eventually weren't able to. He was disciplined, he quit, and he filed suit under Title VII, which is the federal anti-discrimination and employment law. And it's about Title VII's burdens, or the obligations that employers have to accommodate religious belief in the workplace that the Supreme Court's looking at. I think that the majority of justices really are honing into this key protection for religious employees, and how it comes out, we'll find out at the end of the court's term. But it really did show that this is a pro-religion and religious freedom Supreme Court, and that unfortunately, the Biden administration that should be defending robustly religious freedom was taking the side of kind of a very narrow view of accommodating employees.
Yeah, something else very concerning that we've been talking about is the situation at Walter Reed Medical Center, where they sent a cease and desist letter to the Franciscans about providing Catholic pastoral care. Let's delve into that a little bit.
You know, it's very interesting. Walter Reed is really close to where we are right now. It is often the first stop stateside for military that are injured outside of the country. It's an important medical facility, and they only have one Army chaplain, Catholic chaplain, on staff right now, and he's in the process of leaving the military. So the Franciscans of the Holy Name were important for over 20 years. And cutting that relationship with them really does put Catholic patients in a precarious situation. The new subcontractor, or the contractor, is a secular outfit that promises to offer pastoral care, but whether that care is going to be directed to the specific needs of Catholic patients is still an open question. And I think that we really need to look at the great leadership of Archbishop Broglio for military services, who has really expressed very loudly his concern for the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I let you go, what other stories are you following right now, other cases?
You know, I'm paying a lot of attention to the rollbacking of religious freedom protections by the Biden administration. We've heard recently that the administration's Department of Education wants to rescind a rule protecting free inquiry, which would allow for religious student organizations on campus to be able to run according to their beliefs and choose leaders according to the tenets of their religious traditions. And the Biden administration is saying, well, that's just not necessary. The First Amendment's enough. I think that the federal government is there to help when it comes to civil rights, and it concerns me that the administration is deciding to kind of take a sideline on this important protection, especially for religious Americans.
Andrea, thank you so much for being with us and providing your expertise and your insights. We always appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tracy.